To Mr. Vargas Weatherby, Project Director, from Maddie Cobb, A2 Expert. The date is March 5th, 2014, and this is a response to the Student Per Teacher Ratio Report. The point of this project is to get an understanding of the Student Per Teacher Ratio as of now, and also predict the ratio in the future. The students enrolling is increasing faster than the teachers being hired. These graphs represent the amount of teachers and students over the years. The students are consistently increasing, and the teachers begin to increase, then drop off in 2004. Then they begin to go back up again. This graph represents the students per teacher ratio. The student per teacher ratio starts off higher and then quickly decreases. Around 2004 it increases again, but at a slow rate. Overall it's pretty steady. To find what the student per teacher ratio would be after 20 years, I created 3 different graph types: cubic, linear, and quadratic. The graph that was closest to the student per teacher ratio was the cubic model. This graph doesn't represent real life very well. It's a straight line that is always decreasing, which is not the best way to represent the data. The data also goes down very slowly, so it would take a very long time to get to the ratio of 15:1. The quadratic ratio is also a bad choice to represent the data. Although it represents the data better than the linear graph, the student per teacher ratio is also inconsistent. The ratio never reaches 15.1. It gets to about 17.1 at the lowest, but then the ratio goes back up after 2007. The cubic graph is the best graph to represent the data in Colorado. This is the only graph that reaches the ideal ratio of 15:1. This graph represents the students per teacher ratio, the students per teacher cubic ratio, and the horizontal asymptote. I picked the students per teacher cubic ratio to best represent the data because it was the closest to the numbers in the data. Colorado currently has about 17 students per teacher. It is not the ideal ratio of 15 students per teacher, but it's pretty close. In the future, the ratio begins to decrease to about 8 students per teacher. This graph below shows that. The ideal ratio is reached in 2010. This graph doesn't show the ratio stabilizing in the next 20 years. Conclusion. The point of this project is to get an understanding of the students per teacher ratio as of now, and also predict the ratio in the future. The students enrolling is increasing faster than the teachers being hired. The cubic equation best represents the students per teacher ratio. Colorado has about 17 students per teacher from years 2000 to 2008. In the year 2010, the ratio will be at 15:1.